What's up, guys? There's been a ton of stuff going on in the MMA world. There is some big fight cards coming up here in the next week and a couple weeks coming after that. There's been some big fight announcements for future cards. There's been big signings, just tons of stuff. And first thing I want to talk about right now is the big signing with Bellator MMA, and it is no other than the American gangster Chael Sonnen himself. Now, Chael Sonnen has not fought since 2013, and that was at UFC 167, I believe, and he lost by TKO to Rashad Evans, and that's a long time for him to come out, and just jump right back in it, but it looks like he's been training and everything, and he stayed busy during his time off. He had a few analyst gigs. He's been doing a bunch of jiu-jitsu tournaments, regardless of what he used to say about jiu-jitsu. He's been in that mix in jiu-jitsu, and he just had his daughter. She was born very premature and she passed away in the hospital. I feel so bad for him, but immediately after that happened, he's putting on Instagram pictures of him training, and he jumped right back in it. I guess he didn't let that hold him down, and he jumped right back into this. Right after that happened, he signed with Bellator, and he's calling out some big name guys. There is some big fights for him over there in Bellator. He immediately jumped for Tito Ortiz, and I would love that fight. Obviously, they would do it at 205, which Chael Sonnen's fought there before a few times, and they both can talk. They both can sell fights. Be a very interesting fight, and I want to see Chael Sonnen versus Wanderlei Silva. That is the fight that I think Bellator can make. It is going to happen. It would sell a bunch of tickets. Huge grudge match. That fight was supposed to happen in the UFC. These guys just have this huge grudge, and they coached the Tough season against each other, and they actually had a brawl on Tough, and the fight never came to because Wanderlei Silva, it eventually got lifted, but they gave him a lifetime ban from fighting, and I can't remember which commission that was, but either way, it got lifted. He supposedly ran away from USADA, was ducking their drug test, and Chael Sonnen, he once again failed another drug test, and that's when he initially announced his retirement, but he's back. Bellator is making some moves, though. They have picked up, now they got Chael Sonnen. Of course, he's going to sell some tickets, and they just picked up Roy McDonald. That is a huge sign. They picked up Vincent Henderson. Already on top of their stacked roster that they already have. That's just some huge signings. Bellator, they're making moves in the MMA world, but we finally got the bad guy back. I'm so happy. I'm ready to see what he's going to do in Bellator. Now, UFC 205 is coming up, and this is going to be the first fight card from the UFC in New York City, and they are stacking this card, and it is ridiculous what they're doing with this card. Now, it looks like it's going to be headlined by Tyron Woodley defending his championship belt against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. A lot of people didn't think that fight was going to happen. Tyron Woodley was trying to get all these other big name fights and money fights, as he called it, but Stephen Thompson was the clear-cut number one contender, and he finally got that fight. They got Donald Cerrone. He's facing Kelvin Gastelum. He was supposed to face Robbie Lawler, which would have been ridiculous, but Robbie Lawler, he pulled out, so Kelvin Gastelum, he's stepping in for him. That is a huge fight. Also, there's a middleweight bout, and Tim Kennedy is finally returned into the UFC, and he's fighting Rashad Evans. Rashad Evans, this will be his first fight at 185. This is going to be huge. I love Rashad Evans at 185. Another huge middleweight bout, and it is Chris Weidman versus Yoel Romero. We all know that Chris Weidman just lost his UFC middleweight championship, and he's taking on another very top contender in the middleweight division in Yoel Romero, and I can only imagine the winner of this fight is going to go on and get a title shot. Now, a huge fight card we got coming up this week. It is headlined by Christiane Cyborg Justino. She's taking on Lena Landsberg. This is at 140 pounds. Cyborg, she's obviously she's in the right steps to make that 135. She was saying before it would kill her to make 135, but she's taking the right steps. I really want her to be at 135, Of course, I'm picking her to win this fight. She's headlining it. It's going to be in Brazil in front of her home crowd. Cyborg is just a beast. Another reason I really want to see her at 135. There's so many great matchups for her there. The co-main event, we got former bantamweight champion Renan Barão. He's taking on Felipe Nover. Big fight. Heavyweight matchup, Roy Nelson and Antonio Bigfoot Silva. Big time fight. Somebody's going to sleep in this fight. Do not blink. Great fight card coming up. And right after that, we got another big fight card coming up, and it is headlined by John Lineker versus John Dodson. Expect fireworks in that matchup. Big time fight right there. I love that matchup. Co-main event, you got Will Brooks, big time Bellator fighter. He just came back from the UFC. This is his second fight in the UFC. He's taking on Alex Cowboy Oliveira. You got Andre Fili versus Hector Diaz. Sergio Pettis versus Louis Smolka. A bunch of big time fighters on that card. Very underrated fight card. Alright, the last thing I want to talk about is something that the UFC just announced, and they are adding Daniel Cormier and Dominic Cruz to be color commentary for fight night cards, and that is ridiculous. It is crazy, man. I love that. Dominic Cruz, he is so insightful. This guy can break down fights, man. I love listening to this guy talk about fights. Daniel Cormier, same way. Two very smart guys, and these guys are just on fire right now. They're both champions in their divisions. They've been around for a while. Now they're doing commentary, color commentary for fight night cards, and they are on the Fox analyst desk, and that desk is just on fire, man. You've got Tyron Woodley, he's the welterweight champion. Michael Bisping, he's the middleweight champion. You got Dominic Cruz, bantamweight champion, and Daniel Cormier, he's the light heavyweight champion. Man, these guys, if something ever happened to them in fighting, they've just got so much going for them, man. I love it. I love the UFC is doing that, but big moves by them, and big moves by the UFC also. But that's going to do it for this week, guys. Please subscribe for future videos. I'm going to be breaking down UFC 205 coming up soon, and there's just going to be more videos. I'm going to try and put out some videos, when there's going to be a big week of news or something coming out. But either way, just keep an eye out and leave a comment in the comment section. Please let me know what you guys think about this video. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys.